Very good morning and namaskar to all eminent faculty members. Before start of the sessions, I would like to share some very important point. Being a teacher, we are playing three roles by which we are imparting to the society, through which we are serving to the society. First is teaching, second is research, and third one is consultancy. If we talk about research, we are writing a lot of research paper like empirical, non-empirical paper, through which we are contributing to the educations and to the society. But there is one more area through which we can also contribute to the business and especially commerce and management students. Why? The part is case study. Why case study is important for business and as well as students of management and commerce. Although if we talk about science, they have laboratory where they can test their experiment. Whatever the knowledge imparted in the classrooms will be tested in the form of laboratory. But when we talk about the management students, we don't have a laboratory. So whatever the concept we have taught in the classroom, these concepts are tested through case studies only. It is vital for business class also. Why? Because there are some story of success, there is some case study of failure. But both have experience. Both will give the experience, both help us to develop the strategy, what has been done good, what has not been done good will be understood with the help of case studies. So now let us focus on the topic how to write effective case study. Now when we move on this topic, there is some misperception about case study. Like when we are writing a case, so misperception arises that it is a story like film, or it is a kind of unseen passage that we generally solve in English, where the paragraph is given followed by some questions and answers. So the students are required to access the passage to give the answer of questions mentioned below the cases, or it is one kind of article or raw description of situation. But my dear all teacher fraternity, it is not a simple article or story or raw description data. It is beyond this one. It is a platform which helps student to discuss the situations, apply the concept and come with the responses in terms of the solutions. So we have discussed about the misconception that we have in mind when we are writing a case. But my dear, before writing a case study, first we have to understand what is case study. A case study is a research method involving in-depth and in detail examinations which have description of real life situation concerning an organization's or set of circumstances. If I say in very simplest way, it is a case is a slice of organic reality presented for the discussion. My dear friends, it is like a film story, but film story have beginning and end. End is a one kind of solution whatever the issue has raised initially. But when we are writing a case, it have issues which has to be explored during the case, and the students are required to apply their mind for giving the response on the issues. So before going further, I just give my brief introduction. I am Dr. Vishal Khasgiwala, did PhD, MBA, MCA, BSc Computer Science Honours, FDP from IIM Indore, working as a Dean of Faculty of Business and Commerce, Atmi University, and total experience of 22 years, out of which 3 years in industry and 19 in academics. So we move how to write the case. So in order to simplify the process, I have divided the whole into the different phases, which I term as a phases of development cases. Selection of incident, data collections, structure of the case, disguise and release, and presentations. Now one by one I will describe in detail. I have written a lot of case study, which some of the case studies are very renowned and presented into IIMs also. So one of the case studies is Reliance Fresh. So how this thought come in my mind to write the case study on Reliance Fresh? Because at that time there was a lot of protest against Reliance Fresh. It is a case where the Reliance Fresh opened its vegetable outlets with the name of Reliance Fresh, where he is selling the vegetables, fruits and other kind of grocery items. Then the small vendors are in dilemma whether it affect our livelihood or not, whether because the people want to purchase the vegetable from Reliance Fresh. So this idea come, and I was the co-author of this case study. So this idea will lead to write the case. So this incident will provoke me to write the case. In the similar way, I had written one more case on Tata Nano, which was again talk of town when the Tata Nano has started to launch this car, which termed as a Lakh Takiya car. So this thought has come again, we have written on the case. So whenever we are writing a case, the first and foremost point for writing a case is the incident. Okay, what are the point on which, what are the subjects on which we have to write the case? There may be a very good concept that you want to be convert into the real situation so that you could better explain, you can turn into the case. There may be some kind of incident, some kind of situation happening into the market. You identify, turn into the case. You may write a case on Oyo, right? Oyo started his journey, and right now Oyo is struggling about crash crunch. You may have thought you can write the case on these dimensions. So this is the incident which provoke you to write the case studies. So when we talk about incident, it have different parts. Case lead, which I have discussed right now. Then theme which can term as a what theme, what subject, what area you would like to write the case. I have given the example of Reliance Fresh. This case study is particularly talk about business environment. The case study which I had written on the Tata Nano, which talk about the product development process. The case study which I had written about Baba Ramdev, which talks about the personal branding. So the different subjects are there. You have to identify the subject from which subject you want to touch your point to write the case. That will come under the theme. Then learner interest is very important, because you have, whenever you are writing a case, the thought process is required for whom you are writing the case. Who are the audience? Who are the partakers which I want to take, which I want that this partaker will solve or discuss my case. So this is very important, and the homework is required. Homework means like the incident you identify, how you collect the data, whether it is available easily or not easily, what is the time duration you want to be complete the case, who are the audience whom you want to target, that this target audience will solve the case. So these all four are very important factor which comprise of selection of incidents. Once incident has been selected, then the question arises to collect the data for writing the case. There are different types of process for data collections. One is observation, interview, and operating statistics. Yes, you may use all three techniques at a stage or one by one. It depends on the requirement of the case. If you are going for observation, for example, there is a lot of workshop is going on case study, in which there are 3 days workshop, 4-day workshop, 7-day workshop on the case study. In 1 or 2 days, briefing is given how to write a case. Then after that, they have identified some different industries where the different groups are formed. And these groups are required to go into the industries and then identify the situations, asking the interview to the authorities, asking the questions, and accordingly you are collecting the data. So when you are going for observation using a technique, you have to work like a management spy. Why I am using this for management spy? Because you have to be keen observer. You have to observe each and everything according to your domain, according to your subjects, so that you are able to easily identify your area and able to collect the data on the subject on which you want to write the case. Another and very important technique is interview. If we talk about my own case study of Reliance Fresh, we took a lot of interview from the different entities like roadside vendors, then the people who are working in then cold storage and different authorities. Even we went to the different Reliance Fresh outlet also, understand their models. So we have collected data through interviews and as well observation also. If we talk about the case study related to Tata Nano, on this case study we also collected data from different entity through observation and interviews. We went to the dealers asking to what is we went to the dealers and also asked the different questions related to the what happened when Tata Nano car come into the market. We asked such kind of question to the Hyundai showrooms people also. We ask this question to Maruti dealers also, so that we able to get the right feedback. Okay, what will be the situations after launching of Tata Nano car? So these all are the different techniques by which we collected the data. If we talk about operating statistics, it is a collection of facts figure which is available on the company official sites, or some different type sources are available from where we can collect the data. Now we move on the structure of the case. Time structure, narrative structure, expository structures, cutoff point, the title and write-up. Now first point we would like to discuss, that is time structure. When we talk about time structure, it is a sequence of event leading to the incident in the case. It is like a good film director, one may manage through a flashback to show early origin of the situations and build it up. But the point being emphasized is to ensure that the time structure is sufficient clear to the reader throughout. Like you have seen a lot of movies like Chichore, Three Idiots. They have well managed the time. They start with the current situation and go to flashbacks. So when we writing a case, our writing a case also have this time structure. I just would like to suggest that whenever you writing a case, generally you use past tenses. It will be better. The life of your case is much longer. Now we move on the second point, that is narrative structure. In narrative structure, we talk about time structure that you will have to narrate it in some kind of pattern. It is like a flow of story as to generate and sustain reader interest. It ensures that various parts of the story or various parts of narration are logically connected. Like sometimes what happens, we have identified the area of study. Like for example, in my case study of Reliance Fresh, we identified the area of business environment. So there are different entities involved, like cold storage, roadside vendors, government, pressure groups, then people, different entities are involved. So we written a description and their views of different entities, and then narrated in a way it should be logically connected. So it is very important, because if it is not logically connected, then the interest of audience or partakers will be dissolved. As in movie, when we watching a movie, if we getting interest and it start talking about any other type of story, then interest has go down and we start boring, and sometimes we left the talkies and move at home. So in the similar way, we have to connect all narration in logical way. Now move on third point, that is expository structure. The expository structure establish a common frame of references that the case should delay and expose, like situation represent in the case, organization context and climate, relevant background, example culture, technological, environmental factors. So when we writing a case must have an issues and should not merely be blind narration of incidents. It must be built around certain issues that generate through interest, like conflict, decision choice, reaction and so on. So after considering these all 3 points, time structure, narration and expository structure, we have to cut down our point. Cut down point means when we see a movie, it's a 2.5 hour. Some movies are 3 hours. In a similar way, when we writing a case, we have to cut down the case on a point where all the issue which we want to talk about has been covered, and now it is a part of the partakers to understand the situation and come with the responses in terms of the solution. So the case terminated at the point such that purposeful discussion can be followed. And the next point is the title, which is very, very important. Sometimes we are making a title so simple, it will only talk about the one factor. But when we are writing a case, it should discuss about multi-factor. Why a multifocal factor? Why multifocal factor? Because it is not a simple case which talk about one issue and it is completed. It is like one kind of numerical which is given to the students for solving it. But it is a multifocal point which have some major issues, some minor issues. So a student can thought about all the major issues, minor issues, then apply the concept that the student had read into the books. And then accordingly he discuss the case, he will apply the concepts and give it the responses. Then after that we have to start writing the case study. So again I repeating the point, time structure, which is talk about different time frames from opening of paragraph to ending of the case. Then we talk about a narrative structure. Narrative structure talk about a different narration related to different entities involved in our case. Then we have talked about an expository structure which establish a common frame or reference between the case writers and the learners. Then cut off the point, because every story have its end. So we have to end our case studies. Then we have given very good titles which talk about the multifocal factors, so that it will generate the response. For example, suppose you are given the title of the case is like food quality of canteen. So it talk about quality only. So if we talk about my own case study, Reliance Fresh, so the title which is given is Reliance Fresh, will this wave embrace the town? It is a question. If we talk about the Tata Nano, my case, I have given a title Tata Nano $2,500 car. So it will immerse the interest of the audience. So whenever we are giving title, it should be reflected the complete dimension of the case, not particular one dimension of the case. Move further. Disguise and release. Disguise means like whenever you are watching any television, whenever you are watching any particular serials or watching the movie, so a disclaimer is coming कि जो भी पात्र और सारी चीज़ बताई गई है वो इसके आधारित है और हमें किसी को हर्ट करने का हमारा इंटरेस्ट नहीं है. इन द सिमिलर वे डिस्गाइज समटाइम व्हेन यू राइटिंग केस ऑन पर्टिकुलर ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, सो देयर नंबर ऑफ कैरेक्टर्स आर इन्वॉल्व. सो इन ऑर्डर टू नॉट डिस्क्लोजिंग द आइडेंटिटी ऑफ द कैरेक्टर्स, यू डेफिनेटली वांट दैट द नेम हैज़ बीन चेंज so that they did not affect their sentiments of the characters, and it does not affect the prestige of the character. So you are changing the names, sometimes the place also, so that the dignity of the character has been maintained. And it is also important that when you are writing a case on particular organization, particular incidents or particular authority are involved, in this case you require to take written permission and show the written case to them. This is a case we have written on this decision, kindly read it and then take the authority later. So when you publish, no body or no entity which is involved directly indirectly in the case will have any issues. So this is very, very important that you require to take before publishing of the case. Now presentation means the case itself, then appendices which have table, chart, balance sheets, form, map, such other information which cannot be conveniently placed in the case. General notes, details of the organization, operating environment. Technical notes talk about details of techniques, concept, formula required to be used in the case. It is not known to the participant. And case notes. This case notes is very important even when you want to publish your case in very effective journals. So this case notes help to the leader who is taking the demonstrator, a leader who is taking this case. Maybe a teacher who are solving the case. So he want what is the purpose, what purpose you write the case, what actual concept you want to test from this case study. So this notes will help them to understand this all concept, and very well case will be discussed in the classroom. So these are all the points which is a part of the case studies. Now this is one aspect of writing a case. There is another way of writing a case, that is case difficulty cube. Why I talking about case dimension cube, which I refer the name is case difficulty cube. You have seen there are three dimensions are given. One is analytical dimension, presentation dimension, conceptual dimensions. First I am talking about the analytical dimension. The analytical dimension talk about the type of analysis that you want that the partakers will do with this case. There will be simple dimension you have kept in your case, that is a 1 degree of difficulty, maybe 2 degree of difficulty, or maybe the third level of difficulty. If we talk about first level of difficulty, it is like this one. Here is a problem and here is the solutions. It is simple kind of numericals which you given. Second degree of if you want to keep is like this one. Here is a problem, give reasonable solutions. There is a third degree of the case. Here is the situations. What are your solutions? So the degree of difficulties you can keep according to the type of audience. Whether it is case is utilized for the undergraduate, whether this case is utilized for the postgraduate. So accordingly you will decide the degree of difficulty. That I will talk about analytical dimension. Now if I talk about conceptual dimension on y-axis, so this dimension is on y-axis, which relate to the concepts or techniques that is being addressed in the case, and the degree of difficulty may be either increased by combination of different concept. In the simplest degree, everyone will read by own and understand. In the second level degree, then the group of people discuss what is the concept, what type of concept we have to be applied in this case. In third of difficulties, a student is not able to understand the concept, not able to identify the concept, then they will discuss with the teachers. So you have to organize one classroom where you can first explain the concept, then student understand the concept, and then able to apply into the cases. This is about the conceptual dimensions. Now we come a third part, that is presentation dimension. The third dimension is along the z-axis, concentrate on presentation of data. If we talk about first degree, means little extraneous data. Extraneous data that means external data. For example, data related to industry, data related to governments, data related to the global perspective of industry. So what kind of external data you imbibe, accordingly the difficulty will be understood. Suppose you want to create a three-dimensional case, difficulty case. In that cases, like many times we are reading a Harvard University cases. They are 3 by 3 by 3 cases, that is 27 degree. The cases are too long, there are many issues are there, that the reader has to read at least 4, 5, 6 times case, then able to identify the issues. Then after that he able to, and there are a lot of concepts are there which has to be tested in one case. So he has required thorough reading of the cases, then he able to understand the all details of the case and then able to apply. So what kind of difficulty sessions, what type of difficulty you want to imbibe in the case writing, that is decided by the case writers. Now moving on the do's and don'ts. This is very, very important. Why it is important? Like what do's with the case and what don'ts do with the case. If you talk about do's, then ask yourself, why am I writing the case? Teaching value. What do I want trainee to learn from this case? What do I want the trainee learn from this case? Will it make people think? Organize your material and prepare outline of the case. Notes all known facts, schedule your time, use simple language and plain words. It is not an English test where you can use the jargons, glittering words, so it will create a lot of difficulties for the partakers. Keep the focus and link the ideas. Schedule a time gap between the drafting and editing stage, at least a fortnight. Now what are don'ts? Don't inject your value opinion in the case. That is, you don't require your own personal perceptions. Whatever the facts and figures are there, that you have to represent the case. You don't require to hurt the basic of the case. If you put your opinion, then it is biased case. My dear friends, it is very, very important. You have to be bare observer, but you don't have to put your own opinions, own suggestion in the case. Don't write a praise of yourself and don't provide solutions, because it is the issues that you raise through the cases, and this issue has to be resolved through partakers. There are cases we already share many times. The case does not have perfect solutions, because every students are analyzing the case by their own point of view. So that thought process definitely there in the case. You have writing a case. So there are two types of case generally you are writing the case. One is open-ended case, another one is closed-ended case. Open-ended case will have no pointer for discussion in terms of question answer, but closed-ended case have pointer in terms of question answer that students have thought about and have suggested solutions or suggestion or response according to questions. There may be different type of cases you encounter. Film-based cases are there, incident cases are there, illustrations are there, role-playing cases are there, review cases are there. So there are different types of cases are there. So type of cases may be depend. I have also written one case on film that is directed by the Madhur Bhandakar. The name of movie is Traffic Signal. So there is another good case. Now move to the last part, that is case plan. Till the time what we have discussed, what is case, how to write the case, what are different phases of the case, what are the structure of the case, then we discuss about the difficulty dimension of the cases, then we will discuss about what we have to do with the case, what we require to do with the case. Now we have to make the plan, case plan. The most important is opening paragraph, is the length of the case. Like when you are watching any tele show or a movie, so starting is very important. So when you are writing an open paragraph, it's very important. It will just open the all like dimension of the cases. For example, when you are writing an opening paragraph, it generally have 6 sentences or 60 words. So, and this 60 sentences and 60 words, you have to open everything what you want to elaborate into the remaining of the cases. It is like a film story, like every character comes and start with playing some role, so that the story start beginning. So that's accordingly a similar way you have to open the case. The second important point is outline of the final case with the subtitle wise. Third is data requirement list. It is very important because you have narrated the case into different parts. So every narrations have its own data requirement. You have to list down for government, like let's say for example of my own case of Reliance Fresh, there are different entities are involved. So for every entities we have collected different type of data. We chart down the list what are data are supported data required for these narrations. So this is a very important list. Then last part is proposed schedule of the activity. Okay, you have decide the incidents, you decide the agenda, you decide the subject on which you want to write the case, then prepare a first draft of the case by after collecting data, then revise the data, revise this draft 2, 3, 4 times and make final one. Whatever the final draft you feel it is your final draft, this final draft has to be tested by a group of students, so that whatever the agenda, whatever the things that you want to really impart to the students in terms of teaching, in terms of learning, whether it comes out during discussion or not. Many times you will play a role as a partakers in the group, and maybe you will take a support of any teachers which are teaching on your domain. Please discuss this case in the classroom, so that whatever the way you want it, this case has been discussed in the classroom will be going or not. It is very important. Even if you are going to publish your case in very good journals, where it is mandatory required that whatever the case you written, it be tested or not. In the similar way, when any company is launching a product, before launching it will test first. When it is passed from the test, then it will come into the implementation part, it will come into the market. So this is from my side. The most important part for all partakers is certificate. All partakers will get a certificate from Atmiya University, Rajkot, who attempt the MCQ papers received more than 70 marks. For this, after this presentation, we will forward the one link. From the link, you have to give the answer. All 10 MCQs are there. If you attempt the 10 MCQ and score 70% marks, then the Atmiya University issues the e-certificates to all partakers. For any other types of question and answer, you may connect to me on my email ID, that is dean.fobc@atmiyauniversity.ac.in. Another email ID is vishal.khasgiwala@atmiyauni.ac.in. Thank you. Namaskar.